Hello and welcome to Hold Up. You're on my side. There we go. Hold Up, a movie podcast where Murphy's on the right and I am on the left. Uh, Thank you for joining us. Well, we are your hosts, as I said, Davan and Chris Worldmind Murphy. And tonight's theme, if you didn't notice from the intro, is Christmas. It's Christmas time. I have a hat. I have a tree. Murphy's
I got
got some
Christmas
sweet lights
lights.
in the shape of a tree. Don't think I
Yeah,
didn't notice.
wearing my Nirvana Christmas shirt, Gotta
The Nirvana Christmas album. If he'd have lived, that would have happened.
that could have happened and it would have been amazing. I would have been for that.
You
Cobain's
know,
Cozy
I would
Christmas.
listen to that too. Yeah. um, so tonight we are going to review for you and talk probably at some amount of a length about The Apartment from 1960, Gremlins from 1984, and Tokyo Godfathers from 2003. How are you feeling tonight, Murphy?
I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling festive, feeling the happy ho-ho, if you will, within my
Mhm.
veins. It's the 12 nights of Christmas, and I've been enjoying some Christmas movies these past 12 nights. Even though I have to say,
Mhm.
your choices for Christmas movies involve misogyny, and, and animal exploitation, and I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Well, look, I got something to say about your pick too, bud. So,
it's
and you
it's
know
a
what? I'm not going to
miraculous
defend.
magical
I'm not going
invention.
to defend my first pick. I think you'll find. But like, if you make me defend Gremlins, I will fight you, man. I will fight you.
Well,
Those were puppets. Those were puppets.
uh,
All right.
I
So,
got words about gremlins then.
oh, you better not have words about Gremlins. Look, this is going to be a fiery episode. I'll warn you right now. The fire is going to be pretty simpatico for the first one, and then it's going to get nuts. So, should we
And
jump right
also
into it?
warning. Well, warnings also last chance. We're gonna get into spoilers for these movies.
Oh
They are
yeah.
decades old, so I mean, and hopefully you've watched them by now. If you haven't watched them, go watch them.
Even
Come
our
back
newest
here
one
and
is
join the
almost two
conversation.
decades old.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, yeah,
Time catches up with us quickly.
does indeed.
Yeah, we're gonna be walking over to Theater One and checking out the first act. What is that there, Devin?
All right, Theater One. We have The Apartment from 1960, starring Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, and Fred MacMurray, directed by Billy Wilder. And I promise you, I didn't see this movie before I picked it, or I wouldn't have. Though it will make for an interesting discussion.
I
And
was so
it's
confused
kind
as
of
to why you picked this movie. I want to know what was your initial reason to
because
pick
I
this
hadn't, like
movie.
I said, I always pick one I haven't seen. And look, Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, I should have been safe. Okay, those are two extreme talents. You know, I love Jack Lemmon, man. Um, and you know what?
He's a good
Jack Lemmon and
actor.
Shirley MacLaine aren't bad in this movie. But I mean, we could talk about their characters, but their performances are quite good. Um,
Uh,
but
yeah,
that's
like
probably the
Ja-
last good thing I'm going to say about this movie. So let's get into it, I guess. Do you hit a trailer for these? I can't remember our format.
I do have a trailer for these since I was
All
so
right.
stupid as to forget to make the coming attractions for last episode. We are going to be
All right.
witnessing the
They're especially
trailers.
important.
Yeah, so they're
So,
especially important this time.
mhm.
So we're going to be witnessing full trailers, and we're starting off right here now. If I can find it, just bear with me. There it is with the apartment.
Ingredient number one, a very warm, very wonderful story about a boy, a girl, and a very special kind of problem.
Did you hear what I said, Miss Kubelik? I absolutely adore you.
Shut up and deal.
Ingredient number two, a brilliant cast. Jack Lemmon in a delightful role which gives full rein to Jack's amazing versatility.
Shut up
Shirley MacLaine,
Last scene of the first day.
whose glowing warmth lights up the screen like a Christmas tree. Fred McMurray. This is a Fred McMurray you've never seen
Does this
before.
start off with
You know,
here's
you
how
see
to
a
make
girl
a
couple of times a
special
week
kind
just
of
for laughs,
movie?
and right away they think you're going to divorce your wife.
Yes,
I ask
yes,
you, is
it
that
did.
fair?
No, sir, it's very unfair, especially to your
Would
wife.
it also
Yeah.
start with the last
Ingredient
scene
number
in the movie?
3, Billy Wilder.
Yes, yes,
There's
it
nothing
did.
quite like that Billy Wilder, some like it hot kind of laughter.
This is kind of funny. I did enjoy the spaghetti bit.
There are some things. Jack Lemmon is...
Are we dressing for dinner?
You know, just come as you are.
So you're pretty good with that racket.
You should see my backhand. Where'd you see me
Apparently,
serve the
that was one of
meatballs?
the few scenes Jack Lemmon could like improvise that the writers.
It's
were
one of the
allowed to
best ones in
improvise,
the movie.
right?
Mildred! He's at it again!
Mildred is at it again. There's action every night in the apartment. Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, and Fred McMurray. Apartment produced by Billy Wilder.
I'm going to apologize for Murphy right now. All of his video clips are going to be way too loud tonight, so be prepared to go up and down with your volume.
Only that one. I've definitely got volume control on like the rest of these, so
Okay.
you know, it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Okay.
Um,
God, I'm even offended by that trailer. All right, let's get into it.
I mean, wow. Like, okay, let's take a
So,
moment to dissect that
initial
trailer.
thoughts before I do a synopsis. Is that what we're going to do here?
I mean,
Okay.
I kind of feel like it. Like, it's such a terrible movie.
Yeah, it's awful. It's just like 90% misogyny, and
99,
everyone's
really?
unlikable. Everyone's unlikable. Like even Shirley MacLaine's character, who's maybe the most likable, her and Jack Lemmon, they're even like Jack Lemmon's just a hollow
It's
yes man kind of. Like he's not someone to really like either. You're supposed to feel for him, but you don't. Like he's not even charging these guys. I thought it was like, oh, he's making a little money on the side here at least, but no, he's not.
he's just a
And
putz.
Shirley MacLaine, her just decision making kind of pisses you off. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's swimming in a sea of sharks, so she's just like picking one shark over another. So I mean, you can't fault her that much, I guess. Everyone sucks in this, and probably
I
in the
mean,
'60s apparently.
yeah, if this is a reflection of the 60s, like it seems to be, and
Yeah.
from some of the movie morsels I dug up on this film, it doesn't paint a pretty picture of the 60s. It's quite like the apex of
And 50s, really. I mean, this was just on the cusp of the 60s. This is more reflective of the 50s.
well, it was filmed in
As far
59.
as attitudes.
It was released in
Yeah.
1960, right? So it's literally on the end of the 50s.
Yeah, it's 50s.
Anyways,
I was surprised it was in black and white because most movies by 1960 are very much in color.
Apparently, this was one of the last black and white films, actually. Like, I think it was also one of the last black and white films to win an Academy Award. This movie.
What did it
is
win for?
considered- I don't know. I think it was won an Academy Award. Okay, maybe I misquoted that. Give me a second. Let me. I remember maybe it was a nomination. Oh no! Academy Award for Best Picture in 1961. Academy
Oh
Award for
my
Best
God.
Directing. Golden Globe Awards for Best Motion Picture and Best Actress. Academy Award for
Okay,
Best
so this
Film
is-
Editing.
This is a
Academy
product of
Award
its
for
time.
Best Art Direction. Writers Guild of America Award for Best Film.
Like I mentioned this to over on Live Long Podcast
BAFTAs.
the other night that we were gonna review this, and Adam and Jody had seen it, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, that's a depressing movie," but they certainly didn't say how bad it was. And I'm just thinking, have you guys seen this movie since the world changed? Like,
Yeah. When was
did
the
you
last time
watch
you watched
this in
this? On the Tube
1981?
television?
Like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I mean,
so I'll get into it.
when I saw them say depressing, I was like, I mean, it's a bit, but like, so let's get the
What's
synopsis,
depressing is
shall
it's
we?
2 hours. It's over 2 hours long. That's what's depressing. Like, oh man, 45 minutes into this movie, it felt like it was like for most of this movie, it feels like it's about to end, like plot wise. And then it just keeps going and keeps going,
Yeah,
and you're just like, what am I still doing here? I hate all
yeah.
these people.
Let's get the synopsis of
All
how
right, let's
Jack
get
Lemmon,
into the
C.C.
synopsis.
Baxter ran the
Old
world's first
CC Baxter.
Airbnb.
Since oh look, we run Airbnbs in this household, and this is not an Airbnb. At least not the kind we run. So he works for an insurance company in New York. He's like one of their accountants, it seems. Yeah, like they even have like an accounting section.
Oh, actually,
So
I have a
they're
scene that explains that a bit. Shall I?
No fact
all
check
right.
this because I work for an insurance company, Consolidated Life of New York. We're one of the top 5 companies in the country. Our home office has 31,259 employees, which is more than the entire population of
What's that
Natchez,
building?
Mississippi. I
Which
work
is
on the
true at the
19th
time.
floor, Ordinary Policy
Yeah.
Department, Premium Accounting Division, Section
That
W,
building.
Desk number 861.
It's
My name
such a
is
good
C.C.
shot. This
Baxter,
is actually my
Senior
favorite
Partner, C-Suite.
shot of the
However,
whole
most
movie.
people
Is
know
this
me by
opening
different
scene?
The
I've been with Consolidated for
the
3
director
years and
winning
10
an
months,
award
and I've
doesn't
taken my
bother me.
raise
It's actually
94.70 a
well
week.
directed. It's just I hate everything about what he's directing. But
Yeah.
it does look nice in a lot of ways.
The hours in our department are 8:50 to 5.
I wouldn't be able to stay in that room for 5 minutes. I can't believe people work in such an environment. I'd freak out and go hug a tree after
They're
5
staggered
minutes.
by floors so that 16 elevators can handle the
Right.
31,259 employees without a serious traffic jam.
It's so
As for
crowded.
myself, I very often stay on at the office and work for an extra
Soul
hour
crushing,
or
man.
two,
Like this
especially if the
movie.
weather is bad. It's not that I'm overly ambitious. It's just a way of killing time until it's all right for me to go home.
Yeah, is that why? So he has to stay late at work because people are often using his apartment. So there are 4 higher ups in his company that to ingratiate himself to them, he lets them, sleep around and bang their mistresses in his apartment so they don't get caught by their wives. Like this is so misogynistic, man. Like the reason I hate
It's
Jack
so
Lemmon's character is he's
misogynistic.
such an enabler. He's fine with all this cheating.
I have this
Like he's such a detached, callow, friggin' loser, man. I
Yeah.
don't like him.
Well,
Um,
that's kind of one of the
but
main
he's still
themes of the
better than
movie.
everyone else. Like compared to all the other characters, you're like, well, I guess he's not so bad. Like it's just because they're all so friggin' horrible.
Well,
But,
that's one of the main themes of this movie is that basically the doctor challenges him to become a mensch, which is basically like
yeah,
a Jewish term for an
a
honorable
good,
man and stuff.
yeah,
Like a good guy
human. He's
and
like, be a human,
human
man.
being. Yeah, human being, right? And
Be a
and
mensch.
uh, I guess that's his journey of discovery throughout this movie. Ultimately, he stops learning to be a cuck,
Yeah,
and he
but like,
starts.
but Shirley MacLaine's character thinks he's this right good guy, while he's still a callow, enabling loser. Like she's like, "Oh, well, at least you're the nice guy in the office," kind of thing, like in the elevator. Anyway, I'll get back into the synopsis, or I'll never get into it. Oh my god! So, like I say, the 4 higher ups. One of them is played by the actor who plays Boothby in Star Trek, by the way. So I find that hilarious. One of these cheaters. um, so he's getting sick of the situation, basically, but he's too weak-willed to do anything about it. But eventually he sort of starts to benefit from it, where he does get promotions and things. But he's got a crush on this elevator operator back in the day when like somebody had to press the elevator button for you. Uh, yeah, Fran Kubelik. played by Shirley MacLaine. Now, I will say this is the first time I've seen Shirley MacLaine as a young actress. Like I've seen Jack Lemmon as a young actor before, but I've only ever seen Shirley MacLaine as like an older woman. And I
Mhm.
gotta say, she's quite beautiful, actually. And she looks, because of her hair, I guess, she looks kind of like a modern woman in this. And she's very beautiful.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't.
and like this was, I think this was like one of the beginning scenes is this elevator scene where the misogyny really starts to kick up a little.
Man, watch
Oh, because he smacks her on the ass.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah,
One of these days, I'm going to shut these doors on you and.
No, you should have stabbed him in the neck. Like
Cuban.
you
yeah.
should have
Oh,
pulled out a
I'd like
pen
to get
and
her on a
stabbed him in the
slow
neck.
elevator to China.
She's the best operator in the building.
Oh,
Well, I'm a pretty good operator
my
myself.
God, I can't imagine
Maybe
being a
combo
woman in the
rate-wise.
workplace
Maybe
back
you're using
then,
the wrong
man.
approach. A lot of guys
Dude, this
around
guy's
here
gonna be
try
like
all kinds of
pushing
approaches.
58, and he's
No
like, I'm a pretty good operator myself with a popped blue pill.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yep. So that's a thing. Uh,
Fran
so
Kublik, I believe her name is.
yeah, Fran Kublik. He just calls her Miss Kublik. Everyone's very professional. They call each other Mister and Miss. Like they've been like near the end of the movie. Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine are still calling each other like Mister or Miss Kublik and Mister Baxter.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the three higher ups, but not the main guy, are glowing about Jack Lemmon's character. And so the real boss, Mr. Sheldrake, played by Fred McMurray, he figures out there's something going on with Baxter. They're like they never brag about workers. They don't care. Why are they like hyping you up? So he calls him into his office. He's just like, dude, like why do these guys love you so much? He's just like, oh, I'm a hard worker and blah blah blah. He's like, no, no, no. Look, I know what's going on here, Baxter, and I'm gonna use your apartment myself. How's that sound?
This is probably one of my favorite scenes too.
Oh yeah, this isn't a bad scene actually.
It's just really good blocking, and
Look, there are things in this movie that aren't terrible. It's just everyone's so detestable, it's hard to get through. Like you can see how back in 1960, when people are used to being super misogynistic and sexist and stuff like that, where they would think this is a good movie. This is the kind of movie that our podcast is made for, because we ask the question, does it hold up? And this movie will be lost in time. Sad because you know what? Jack Lemmon is one hell of a performer.
also, I just want to say, don't use nasal mist, kids. That stuff is terrible for you.
Oh yeah, I don't think they even sell that anymore, do they?
They still very much sell nasal mist.
Oh wow, yeah, don't use that stuff. Just have yourself a nice steam with an essential oil. You'll feel much better. He plays
Dude,
this like he was meant to play this character. I will say.
he literally is the sole like thread of interest in this entire movie. Jack Lemmon really
Yeah.
like his back must have been broken because he had to carry this film so hard, and it's only
Yeah, he does
accentuated
care.
by the Doctor role, who I personally was a big fan of, but we're jumping a
I
bit ahead.
Oh, bud, we're about to have words. I can't tell you how much I hate that doctor and everything that he does. We'll get into that here when I get there in the synopsis, though. Um, okay, back to my synopsis. So he not only does he want to use Baxter's apartment, he's like, "You're gonna make me a key," because normally he just like hands the key or like leaves the
Leaves it
key
under
under
the
the
mat.
mat for whoever is gonna use his apartment next. Which is like, you know what's funny? They never show him doing any laundry. Like they're
Well, I
banging all
mean,
over his apartment. They show him like refilling the fridge and he keeps it stocked with alcohol for them and things like that. But you never see him do any laundry.
doesn't
So
really wash the sheets, does he?
I
Yeah.
don't think he's washing the sheets, man. So Mr. Sheldrake's trying to butter up Baxter, so he's just like, you give me the key and you can use these tickets. He's giving him tickets to a popular show at the theater downtown. And Baxter just doesn't want to do it. Like I said, he's sick of this whole situation. He just wants his apartment back because he wants to stay at work for extra hours and go sleep on dirty, soiled sheets, you know? But, you know, he makes the best of it, and he asks Miss Kubelik out to the show. And she agrees, or I think she like doesn't at first, but eventually she agrees. And um, she ends up bailing on him because it turns out she's having an affair with Sheldrake, or like had been,
Old
and he's trying to get
Shelly.
her back. Old Sheldrake. Um, so so she goes to hit Jack Lemon's apartment while he's waiting for her at the theater, which is kind of funny, I guess, in a horrible way.
Yeah.
Um, but then she realizes, well, so next we cut to like an office party, and this is Christmas Eve, and this is where it becomes sort of like a Christmas movie.
They went ham for these office parties in the 50s, man.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they went crazy. And Billy Wilder said he's like, these are my favorite days to film when I can literally just set up my camera, yell action, and sit back and relax and let everybody just go nuts. This guy's got no pants on.
yeah, they're having a time.
Everyone's
People are
making out
making
with
out.
everyone, and there's a lot of
This
old
is
men making out with
1960,
like
man.
20-year-old women.
Yeah, see, and those old men are married at home. They have an old lady at home. Literally everyone in this office is cheating with someone who works in this
I
office.
said to him, never again. Either you get yourself a bigger car or a smaller girl.
Miss Kubelik? Miss... Merry Christmas.
Thank you. But you were avoiding me.
What gave you that idea?
In the last
Look,
6 weeks, you've only
Shirley
been
MacLaine
there
is
once.
very
You didn't
charming.
Take off your hat.
Well, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I was rather hurt that night you stood me up.
I don't blame you. It was unforgivable.
I forgive
He
you.
isn't, though. Jack Lemon's great, but
Help
he's
yourself.
not charming.
You
The
have
whole
a
time
freaking
you're like
lady, you
wondering
suddenly
why
walk
she
out
would
on
like
anything
him at
on
all.
Another date with another
Like,
man.
I mean,
You
at,
did the only
at
decent
first he's kind of like
Too
nice
sure,
and
just because I
charming,
wear
but
a
at this
uniform, that
point
doesn't
he's
make
just
me a Girl
becoming
Scout.
blinded by like
Miss
the
Kubelik, one doesn't
carrot
get to
in
be a
front of
second
him,
administrative assistant
and
around
he's
here
trying to
yeah,
unless you're
peacock
judge of
really
character.
hard, and he
As
becomes
far as I'm
insufferable
concerned,
for
we're
it.
tops. I
he
mean,
does, yeah.
decency-wise and otherwise-wise. Cheers.
So, Sheldrake's secretary, he used to have an affair with her, too. He's basically had an affair with most of the office, probably. But the secretary who he keeps on, and that's probably a mistake, which he rectifies later. But really, he's the problem, not her. Um, she's basically ratting on him, not only to his wife, but also to eventually his wife, but first to Fran here. Um, so Fran gets this information that, you know, Sheldrake doesn't really care about her. He's not going to leave his wife and all these things.
He said the same
So,
song and dance several times. I was
yeah,
gonna leave
yeah,
him
to
with
her,
her.
exactly. Like he told me
Yeah.
the same thing. Yeah.
And
So she ends
he
up,
told Mrs. K the same thing, and he told that pretty redhead the same thing, and she started like listing like all these girls before uh
yeah.
Kubelik, and yeah.
So back at Baxter's apartment, she confronts Sheldrake about this. And, you know, he gives her a bunch of bullshit. But then she leaves. And it's funny because Baxter actually picked up somebody at the bar and he's trying to come back to his apartment to have his own good time. But when they get in there, he finds Fran in his bed all passed out because she basically tried to commit suicide. She ate a bunch of sleeping pills, which is a lot. We're doing Christmas movies, but there's certainly a lot of suicide in these movies. I mean, not Gremlins, but um, so
No, but there was a lot of
so
murder in Gremlins.
well, yeah, that's a good time. Um, so he calls his next door neighbor's the doctor, who I hate, and he calls him over to help Fran. And like their whole remedy is basically they just pick her up and just walk her around the apartment for hours. They skip through that luckily, but like they're hours just walking her around.
Well, yeah, they try and feed drink her coffee, and then they also
Yeah.
give her a shot of adrenaline, I believe.
Yeah, they're just worried that if they just don't want her to go to sleep, which again is antiquated. That's not true. Your brain, if you have a brain problem, your brain actually heals better if you're asleep. Like people always just like if you get a concussion, don't let them sleep, don't let them sleep. They did that to me when I fell out of a shopping cart when I was a kid. But turns out you should let someone with a head injury sleep because their brain will heal better if they're sleeping. So, yay modern medicine.
So
Oh
you
my
definitely
God.
shouldn't do
I
this.
hate him so much. I hate him so much. So he's loving this. The actor, the director, they're all loving this shit. And oh my God, I can't even watch it, man. I hate this so much.
Okay,
So here's the
I'm
thing.
gonna have a movie morsel about that scene in
Okay.
particular that was
Oh man, I
it
don't think it'll make it any better.
explains it.
So not
It
only when
doesn't
he's
make it
done
better, but it
slapping her,
explains it.
he grabs her face like this, and he's just whipping her head around like this, grabbing her face super hard. Like if I was here during filming, I probably would have ran over there and just like started punching the guy. Like he's abusing this woman who's just hired as an actress. Like this isn't fake. He's like, and that's the thing about old movies, man. A good old movie is a movie where whenever a woman says anything that's just like somehow heightened, she doesn't get the shit shook out of her or slapped out of her. Like that's so common in these days in these movies. It's just the woman's just like, "Well, I don't agree." There's like, "Well, why don't you agree with me? What's wrong with you?" Like, man, this movie's hard to watch, and I hate that doctor because he's an abusive asshole. Slaps the shit out
I
of his
mean,
and then grabs their
okay.
face
Okay.
and throws them around. He's literally the
Okay.
worst guy in this whole friggin' movie,
you
man.
need to gear down just a little.
No,
Now,
we're
I'm not
gearing up for
no
this one, bud.
no, hang on. I'm not one to by any means defend the abuse of women by any means. However, this is a doctor of of 1959,
You
and
don't care.
medical advice
There
given at
must
the
have been
time
doctors in
was to do
1959 that didn't slap the
these
shit
things.
out of their patients. There had to have been.
No, apparently when they were okay, I'm just gonna give a movie morsel right now for
right.
this scene because you're getting so worked up about it. So there needs to be
I
some
hate him.
explanation behind it. Um,
Getting a preemptive
I
morsel
gotta
here because I'm getting worked up. This movie is full of the worst people.
Okay. During the scene where Fran overdoses on sleeping pills, doctors were actually present on the set to advise accuracy on how to revive her. The harsh slaps that the doctor performs to keep Fran from becoming unconscious were all real. However, after the scene, the doctor told Billy Wilder that the actor should have slapped Shirley MacLaine harder. Wilder refused to shoot it again, though, after looking at McLean's red cheeks from being slapped so many times.
She should, if she's still alive, she should sue the shit out of whatever friggin' movie company made this, if they're still around, like Universal or whoever it is. She should sue the shit out of them, man. I feel like doing it. Like, ridiculous. And then they tell him to grab her face afterwards and be like, "Ah, are you listening to me, Fran? Are you listening to me? While I dig my fingers into your jaw?" Like, God, man. The worst.
So this was definitely not Davin's favorite.
And those doctors aren't doctors. They are just people who loved slapping women. That's why they advise this. There's no medical reason to slap the shit out of somebody. They just like doing it. Okay, so the doctors they hired were friggin' quacks, man. Movie morsel or not. All right, I'm gonna get back into it. I'm so mad.
I agree with you.
This movie just made me so mad. I'm like, this is supposed to be a
I was
Christmas
pretty
movie.
appalled watching it. I was just like, this is an atrocious film.
Oh, it's so atrocious. All
right, let's wrap the synopsis
All right, we'll get back into it. All right. So Baxter calls Sheldrake and he's just like, "Hey, your mistress is over here like dying or whatever because you dumped her and maybe you should talk to her." And he's just like, "Oh,
After you
Baxter, you
gave
know
her
what? I
$100
trust you to handle this situation." Yeah, I gave her $100, which she wants to give back to him because she actually got him a Christmas present.
Yes,
which was
she
very
got him a cool
thoughtful and
Christmas present.
romantic. Yeah,
I,
and
I,
he's just like,
I
"Well, I
want,
have something for you as well." And he just pulls out his wallet and he's just like, "Here, $100. Get yourself something
okay,
nice."
hang on. Let me talk about the scene real quick because this is kind of how we do this. The rickshaw boy scene. This is what this made me pause the movie and I'm like, what is this album? I need to look this album up. And it was called Rickshaw Boy. It turns out that the album is supposed to be an album written by the
That was the
diner
play,
owner.
wasn't it? Rickshaw Boy.
I don't
Where they
know
were
if it was
gonna
a
go. No,
play.
that was the record that they had.
The record, yeah, the record that
Yeah,
she
the record.
gave
Yeah, yeah,
Sheldrake. The record that she
yeah,
gave
yeah.
Sheldrake was called Rickshaw Boy, which is apparently an album that was performed and written by the diner owner that her and Sheldrake went to. I got excited thinking there was like some old school album out there called Rickshaw Boy because I used to be a pedicab driver and I was like, oh, I know that lifestyle. Let me look this up. The best I could do was find two songs called Rickshaw Boy, and I meant to bring them as examples to play, and I forgot to do that. So
Look him up, people. Look up Rickshaw
yeah,
Boy.
look up the song Rickshaw Boy. They're pretty funny songs. I think they're not really like so much songs. They're all right. They're all right. It's a little Rickshaw Boy by Dennis Fernan, and I forget the other one. But yeah, there's at least two songs called Rickshaw Boy. No albums, but yeah, that was a pause-worthy moment for me in this movie. Oh yeah, Duffy Ravencroft from 1958. Actually, Duffy Ravencroft's Rickshaw Boy from 1958. That one was
That
actually
was like a popular phrase or like something of the time. Like Rickshaw Boy was in the zeitgeist of the late 50s.
Yeah.
That's what that suggests.
Anyway, I digress.
So Baxter and Kubelik, it's noticed that they're not at work because he's just staying home trying to take care of her. And everyone assumes they're having an affair. And then Kubelik's taxi driver brother-in-law comes looking for her.
Oh
And
wait,
he's like a tough
before he does
guy.
that,
Listen,
he
I
gets
want
her
another car, some
breakfast.
coffee, and maybe an orange.
Oh,
and a
right.
couple of eggs.
Eggs, he asks me for oranges. What you need is a good hospital.
That's the doctor's
And
wife.
me, the doctor has no secrets. Poor girl, how could you do a thing like
Please,
that?
I
They
wouldn't
think he
do
drugged her
anything, honest.
or
It's just
otherwise
funny.
made her so depressed that she
Go out
drugged
a couple
herself.
times a week, just
Yeah.
for laughs. And right away she thinks you're getting serious, marriage-wise.
Big shot. For you, I wouldn't lift a finger.
But for her, I'll make her some breakfast, she said, is going
Yeah.
on to say. But they think he's this great scumbag because every night they'd hear the knocking and the screaming from all the like the
But
romantic
for her, I'll fix a little something to eat.
engagements.
I'll fix a little something to eat. Yeah, they call them.
Yeah.
He's always like making a racket. He's like, he's at it again. He's always yelling.
He's at it again. And like there's one funny scene later where the doctor's coming home and he just sees some random woman knocking on the door, being like, "Let me in, are we gonna have fun?" And he's just like, "Oh my god!" And he runs in to tell his wife. That was kind of funny. But okay, back to the synopsis of this movie, if you want to call it that. So the brother-in-law comes looking for Fran because she's been missing for days, and she lives with her sister and him. Well, first he shows up to the office looking for her. And they say, "Well, she's here, so go look for her here." And so basically, Baxter draws the line. He's just like, "I'm not doing it anymore." And so he actually gets. I mean, he keeps getting promoted. He gets promoted once, and then he gets promoted again. But he tells Sheldrake that. Well, I'm getting a bit of ahead of it, I guess. So the brother-in-law kind of beats the shit out of Baxter, punches him up pretty good anyway. And so Sheldrake fires his secretary because he finds out that she told on him. Classic move. Like, man, I hate the Sheldrake so much. And I don't even like his face. Like, I would like to see this actor in something else to see if it's just him or if it's the character. But I cannot stand that guy. He seems like that kind of a guy. I hate to like judge someone by their face, but like
Apparently,
he looks exactly like that guy. Like
Apparently, was it Frank McMurray?
Fred
I think that was his
McMurray.
name. Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently he's like known for being in very wholesome, like family-friendly roles.
Really?
And this was quite
Wow.
the opposite
This
of
was him
what he
stepping
was
outside
known
of
for.
his. Okay.
A little bit, yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
family
he
friendly
was
in the
for that
50s, he
too.
was still probably smacking the wife around, so it's only so family friendly. And probably the kids too, for that matter. Okay. So back to the synopsis. So the secretary ends up telling Sheldrake's wife, so he gets kicked out, and he's like living at the athletic club, but he can't take his mistresses there because the athletic club is only for men. So he still wants to use Baxter's apartment. And Baxter's is like, no, like we're not doing it anymore. And he's just like, look, Baxter, if you don't let me do this, you're basically fired. So Baxter pulls out a key, and he's like, give me the key. So he gives Sheldrake the key. And he walks out and he's grabbing his coat and he's about to leave. And just like Sheldrake's like, oh, you gave me the wrong key. This is the key to they have like an executive bathroom. And he's just like, no, that's the right key. And then he just walks out. So he finally does the right thing and becomes slightly better a person. Well, it is America. There's got to be a gun lying around.
Say, Baxter, we're having a little party. We ran out of ice. I was wondering.
Sure, Doc.
How come you're alone on New Year's Eve?
Well, I got things to do.
What's this? You're packing?
Yeah. Getting up the apartment.
Where are you moving to?
I don't know.
Yeah,
All I
like he
know
even
is I
hates
gotta
the
get out of this
apartment now.
place.
It's like it's just
Sorry
bad
to lose
like
you, Baxter.
memories on how
Me?
friggin' weak he was.
You mean my body?
It's got
Where you
old
go to
man
university,
paint
Doc?
stank in it. I don't blame him.
Oh, yeah, it must stink
Booze
in
we
there.
don't
Something
need.
awful.
Say,
In the
why don't
60s,
you
come
join
on now.
us?
We got 2
Dude,
brain
that
surgeons,
place
ear, nose,
literally
and throat
looks like it smells
specialists,
bad.
a proctologist, and
Yeah,
3
it does.
maces from Bellevue.
No, thanks. I don't feel like it.
Then he
Look,
cooks pasta
Doc,
on a
in case I
friggin'
don't see
tennis
you
racket.
again, how much do I owe you for
And-
taking care of that girl?
Forget it. I didn't.
I
do
don't
it
know
as
if
a
you
doctor, I
noticed,
did it
but
as a
like
neighbor.
days after she's
By the
gone,
way,
he like pulls up the
what
racket
happened
and
to
there's
her?
still a wet noodle.
Yeah, that made me
Days
laugh.
after he
Actually.
made spaghetti.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
that was actually fun. See, there are
Happy
things
New
in
Year.
this, like the direction was quite good. Other than he let that dickhead there slap the shit out of Shirley MacLaine. That's not a good director's move, man. There are ways to fake this shit, even in the 60s, but they didn't care. They were just like, the director's just like, yeah, go slap the shit out of Shirley
Come home
MacLaine.
half an
She
hour
should
later, you would have
sue
invited
the
Christmas
shit
presents.
out of them. There are ways to fake that.
He
Oh, I
even
don't
grabs
know.
her by the
Turn that off.
hair.
Turn that off. Turn that off. I don't even want to see
I
it.
don't know. I
No,
don't know how.
get rid of it. Yeah, you do. Don't do this to me, Murphy. All right. So Fran finds out about all of this, about Sheldrake, because she was even going to take him back again, which is what makes her a very unlikable character. Like, she's just, ugh, like he's so easy to see through. Like, she didn't need the secretary to tell her that Sheldrake was a piece of shit. It was very obvious. Maybe not in the 60s, but man, very obvious. Like he's cheating on his wife with her. So obviously he's a piece of shit. Like, I don't like when someone draws the line. It's just like, oh well, like this is what kind of fucking pisses me off about Star Trek too, because like Gene Roddenberry was banging Majel Barrett and Nichelle Nichols, and she's just like, Nichelle Nichols broke it off because she's like, I don't want to be the other woman to the other woman. It's just like, well, you were for a while. Like, anyway, people have such flexible morals, man, back then. It's like, whatever. I mean, you got to survive, I guess, but man, it's very frustrating.
Well, after all the hardship and the suicide attempts.
Oh, this is the last scene that they start the trailer off with. How do you start the trailer off with the last scene in the movie?
I know.
I've never seen that before. That's insane.
I love you, Miss Kubelik.
Yes, they even have him say that. Like, this is literally the conclusion of the movie.
I absolutely adore you.
Was that the real
Shut up,
trailer?
dear.
Did they really have trailers that they played
Yeah,
back
that was
then?
the official
Like,
trailer.
it would be
I
in a
always look
theater,
for the
you'd go
official
into it.
trailer. Yeah.
Like, you could only see trailers back then in the theater. They didn't play them on TV. So you'd have to go to see a movie, and I guess they would probably end or start it with the trailer. I feel like they would come at the end back then. I'll have to look that up.
Well,
When they actually played trailers
I couldn't honestly remember
back
if it
in
was.
those
I
days.
think
They
I think
definitely
like,
weren't
back
on
in the day it was
TV.
around the end. Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't on TV. But yeah, to wrap up this classic piece of shit movie, basically Shirley MacLaine's Frank.
They played gin rummy.
They play Jim Rummy after she goes through a bout of suicide attempts and jilted lovers with old men that are twice her age. She realizes that the man that's roughly her age is probably the better option, so she goes to play Jim Rummy, asks him to
Bill
deal.
Murray's an ogre, man. It's not even like he's an attractive older man. He's just like friggin' ogre. Like, anyway. Oh, God. I mean, maybe it's the power. I don't know. But anyway, that's the synopsis. So eventually those two get together and you're supposed to be happy about it, but I'm not.
No.
Let's
Mostly
stop
just
talking about the
appalled.
apartment. Is there any
Wait,
final
do
thoughts?
you want to?
I've explained how much I hate everything in this movie. Jack Lemmon, though, is a great actor. You can get that from this, even though it's horrible. He's clearly one of the best.
So Jack Lemmon's probably your favorite actor in the film.
Oh yeah, let's get into it. Well, we did the plot, and that was horrible. Well, let's do this one. This would be interesting. Which scene would you hold up, Murphy?
You know, did I? Oh, I had it set up, but I think I might have actually removed it from the thing. The one scene that I kind of liked was when actually no, the one scene I would say held up the most for me was the opening apartment scene. Just the forced perspective shot and how like they made it seem super busy. Like that was the strongest portion of this film was kind of like the opening dialogue and
However most people call it.
Yeah,
you know,
I
just
agree with
seeing
you.
the whole
Actually,
thing.
it's all a downhill friggin' slide from there.
A real steep slide to
Yeah, man.
Sheffield.
I agree with you. I started off, I'm like, oh, this is like well directed, and this could be all right, but no, it's not.
Yeah.
So, which
It's
performance would you hold up? For me, again, it is Jack Lemmon. He's clearly very good. Shirley
Yeah,
MacLaine
Jack
is very
Lemmon.
charming and beautiful, but I would hold up Jack Lemmon. And honestly, as much as he plays a horrible person, Boothby, he was the best of all the like a cheater higher ups in the company. The guy who plays Boothby in Star Trek.
I think
he had
I
a couple
know
of
what
funny
guy you're
lines.
talking about. Yeah. Let me pull this up real quick.
Hello, Mr. Dobish.
Dobish, that's him. Dobish is Boothby. There he is. Yeah, see, it's Boothby.
I'm sorry about that mess on the living room wall. You see, my little friend, she kept insisting Picasso was a bum, so she started to do that mural.
Hey, Murphy, what was that mess on the living room wall?
To my apartment. You're supposed to leave it under the mat.
But I did, didn't I? I just
I don't
remember bending over and putting it
I don't
there.
want to answer that.
The key, all right. Only it's the wrong key.
It is?
The wrong key.
Well, how about that? No wonder I couldn't get into the executive washroom this morning.
And I couldn't get into my apartment. So at 4 a.m., I got to wake up the landlady.
All right,
give her a whole
got it. That's Boothby.
Yeah, that's
That's the
boosting the whole
performance
role
I
in
would hold up.
NXT.
What about you, Jack Lemmon?
You know what? Honestly, for me, it's this guy.
Oh, don't even say.
The doctor.
Good evening, Bex.
We're done here. We're done here.
Yeah, some clown at
Episode over. I don't need Slappy McGee here.
I'm not saying it was great, but I felt he acted the role really well.
Yeah, he's Will Smith's hero. What?
Well, that's not me. I mean, it's just once in a while I have a few people in for a drink.
As a matter of fact, you must be an Iron Man all around. From what I hear through the walls, you got something going for you every night.
He does love ribbing Jack Lemmon about his promiscuous nature, and that can be kind of funny.
Right? Like, that's what I was digging out of the character.
He's just saying there, little, but he keeps telling him it's a bad idea. He's like, look, you're gonna die young if you keep living like that. Like, it's not good for you.
When you make out your will and the way you're going, you should.
Yeah, see, there it
Would
is.
you mind leaving your body to the university?
That was a funny
My
line
body.
too, actually.
My
I
body.
didn't
That's
hate that doctor till he
disappointing.
slapped the shit out of Shirley MacLaine.
Slow down, kid.
And then I did. Yeah. The setting aesthetic was actually quite good.
Yeah, the
I'll give
setting
it that.
aesthetic was kind of cool. I like it was interesting. I'll give it that. You know.
Especially in
Yeah,
the
it
opening,
was.
like the building and the room, and even the
Yeah,
apartment. Like it
there's
feels lived in for certain.
yeah
Doesn't feel
the
like a set.
whole yeah it doesn't, even though I think it was actually, which is ironic.
It probably was, yeah.
Yeah, because like technically, I thought the layout doesn't entirely work with the way his neighbor was or something like that. Anyway, I guess this is the point when we get into some movie morsels about the apartment. What do you
Yeah,
say?
Murphy, get on to those movie morsels. I'll be back in before you're done. I swear.
All right. All right, so with the apartment in 1960, to create the effect of a vast sea of faces laboring grimly and impersonally at their desks in the huge insurance company's office, designer Alex Trauner and Edward G. Boyle devised an interesting technique. They used full-size actors that sat at the desks in the front, and children dressed in suits were used at tiny desks towards the rear, followed by even smaller desks with cutout figures operated by wires. It gave the effect of a much larger space than could have been achieved with a limited studio screen. And this is where I wow Davan with that information. So this whole scene here, you can tell, is it's got actors up in the front, but it also has like kids in the back just working away in suits. Like, it's kind of funny, really, when you think about it. And I will digress. I'm losing steam here. Right. So that was the first one. Then on the Office Christmas Party scene was actually filmed on December 23rd, 1959. So as to catch everybody in the proper holiday mood, Billy Wilder filmed almost all of it on the first take, stating to an observer, "I wish it were this easy today. I can just shout action and stand back." Billy Wilder and I.L. Diamond would not allow even the slightest deviation from the script. Shirley MacLaine drove them crazy with her ad-libbing. She was forced to do one of the elevator scenes 5 times because she kept missing one word. And then Billy Wilder would then give Jack Lemmon free rein to fill in the character of C.C. Bud Baxter in performance. He compared the actor favorably to Charles Chaplin and thought he could do no wrong. Which, like, okay, so nobody can deviate from the script, but Jack, he's good. He's basically Chaplin. And then we've got for this was the last black and white movie to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards until The Artist in 2011 and Schindler's List in 1993, which won in 94. It was not completely black and white, as some scenes were in color, like the girl in the red coat and the candle at the beginning.
No movies must have came out that year, Murphy. It must have been just
1961.
It must have been just this movie. They take there must have been a strike, a writer's strike or something. Must have been just this.
The film was lauded by Soviet bloc critics as an indictment of the American system and a story that could only have happened in capitalistic city like New York. At a dinner honoring him.
Okay, I got to cut you off for a second here, Murphy. Sorry.
Okay.
Here's the problem. Like, you get the impression while watching this movie that it's a 1960s attempt to say that misogyny is bad. But when 95% of your movie is misogyny and that message is just very thinly veiled, like it barely says that it's not effective. It's not an effective means to portray that message if that's what they were going for. And I think they probably were, because the shitty higher ups in the company are so over the top shitty, but everyone is. But, like, the shitty higher ups in the company are so over the top shitty, but everyone is. But, like, the shitty higher ups in the company are so over the top shitty, but everyone is. 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 But everyone Like, so where's the shining light through all of this? You know, man.
There really wasn't much of a shining light through all of this. Like I said, when
No.
I first told you, I'm like, that was some Christmas movie. like, it
There's a
was
Christmas tree.
really misogyny. Ugh, fucking cat in your fur. Sorry, baby.
Yeah,
You gotta
look,
go.
this is not a Christmas movie. I mean, I guess it is because it happens at Christmas, but compared to the other two movies, it's not. This is barely a Christmas movie. This is like the I Heart Huckabees of environmentalism. This time I messed up and not Limpy.
I had that very thought of like,
Yeah,
this is a Christmas
yeah.
movie as to what I Heart Huckabees
My
is
bad.
environmentalism.
We're just gonna fuck up back and forth on this podcast, so next time it's Murphy's turn to pick a friggin' unrelatable movie.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive back into these because like I try to there's some movie morsels to this film. You missed some decent ones, but you'll have to catch it on the
Did
replay.
any of them make the movie less reprehensible?
No, I mean, some of it highlights a lot of stuff about it. Let me just get into this, please. The film was lauded by Soviet bloc critics as an indictment of the American system and a story that could only have happened in a capitalistic city like New York. At a dinner honoring him in East Berlin, Billy Wilder said the movie could happen anywhere in Hong Kong, Tokyo, Rome, Paris, London. When Wilder said the one place it could not have happened was Moscow, the East Germans broke into thunderous applause and cheers. When the ovation died down, Wilder continued, "The reason this picture could not have taken place in Moscow is that in Moscow nobody has his own apartment." The remark was met with grim silence. In the scene where Carl
true or funny. I mean, it's Cold War. They're just bashing the Russians for like any reason.
Exactly. In the scene where Carl punches Baxter, Jack Lemmon was supposed to mime being punched. He failed to move correctly and was accidentally knocked down. Billy Wilder chose to use the shot of the genuine punch in the film to get Fran to look to get Shirley MacLaine's Fran to look genuinely startled with her brother-in-law punches Calvin. Director Billy Wilder smacked together two pieces of 2x4 during the shot. So it's kind of like a nice little technique.
Yeah, or you could have let the actress act, but whatever.
Well,
you can't leave the acting to some lady folk.
Jack Lemmon related.
This is making it worse. These commercials are making it worse, Murphy.
Oh boy. Jack Lemmon related later in life how Billy Wilder kept his film editor Doane Harrison on set with him at all times as associate producer and never made a shot until they both discussed it. As a result, he was able to shoot sparingly, cut the film in camera, and eliminate costly setups that might never be used.
I think Billy Wilder is probably a good director.
Yeah, he's definitely a good director. But his choice of film could be questionable.
Yeah.
This is the first Best Picture Oscar winner to specifically refer to a previous winner in the case of two of them. First, Grand Hotel in 1932, which Baxter attempts to watch on his television, but is too long delayed because of commercials. Bud's boss also referred to Bud and Fran having a lost weekend together in Bud's apartment, a reference to Billy Wilder's early Oscar winner, The Lost Weekend from 1945.
Okay. Jack, we're going to do a rewind to next issue, and I'm going to look up all the other movies that came out in 1960.
Okay.
Next episode, yeah.
Jack Lemmon was playing
with any, so I don't even have to look up anything.
Jack Lemmon was playing with a nasal spray prop in his dressing room and discovered it gave a sharp squeeze that would squirt 10 feet. He filled it with milk to make the liquid visible on black and white film, and when Fred McMurray chastises him for creating a problem around the use of the apartment, Lemmon gave the container a squeeze, the milk shot out and sailed right past McMurray's nose. Bill Wilder left the take in the film. We've got this stuff. This is what stood out to me. After getting the Rickshaw Boy album, Sheldrake gives Fran $100 cash and tells her to get herself something pretty. The $100 cash.
They sell nice things down at this store. Go to that store.
Yeah, the $100 cash Christmas gift is equivalent to $950 today. In 1959, it was stated early in the movie that C.C. Baxter gets paid $94.70 a
Yeah, a
week
week.
and
Yeah.
pays $85 a month for his one bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
That equivalent is $94.
How about that inflation? What?
Is $970 a week, and his
Gotta
rent
love
is
that
now
runaway inflation.
$870 a month. Which, shit you not, his rent should be $870 a month, but New York, for an apartment like that, it's probably closer to $3,000 a month, if not more.
Oh,
So
he has a huge apartment for New York. Like that apartment would have already been redone into 6 apartments in New York.
yes, exactly. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Fun fact about his apartment: C.C. Baxter is just a poor accountant, but inside of his apartment are 2 authentic Tiffany lamps, which range from the price of $30,000 to $40,000 each. Uh, yeah,
This
thirty
place
to
is
forty thousand
huge.
dollars each
It's freaking
today.
huge.
Um,
Wow. Like, look at that
yeah,
closet. He has a
yeah.
3-door closet.
3-door closet, kitchen space, a full bedroom. There's probably a full bathroom through the bedroom. So there's a bedroom in the bathroom. There's a
Oh, we
large
see his
living room.
bathroom, don't we? I think he's in there at one point. Yeah, she's Fran's in there. That's where
Yeah,
she finds the sleeping pills.
yeah. He starts freaking out and he hides the razor and his stuff from her because he thinks she's gonna fucking just go nuts. Yeah, those Tiffany lamps in the corner there.
3.
Oh,
Like
yeah. Oh, yeah, it
30.
certainly is. I've seen one of those recently,
What I
actually.
said, Miss Kublik? I
Oh
absolutely...
yeah, those
He's,
lamps can run anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 today.
you know what? You can also find them at Value Village. So you just got to be there on the right day.
True. According to Fred McMurray, after the film's released, he was accosted by women in the street who bothered him for making a dirty, filthy movie, and one of them hit him with her
Good.
purse
Good.
because she brought her 6-year-old son to thinking it was a
Oh, that's
Disney
a mistake.
film.
That's just a mistake. Well, look, I got no excuses for that. It's clearly not a Disney film. It doesn't say Disney anywhere. It's called The Apartment. What does that have to do with Disney? That's not a smart parent.
Well, apparently Fred McMurray was like synonymous with like Disney films and stuff back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to look up what
Miss
he's done, too, because he did look familiar. I know I've seen him before.
Miss Dreyfus, the neighbor of C.C. Baxter and the wife of the doctor, is describing the playboy lifestyle that she thinks Baxter lives to Fran Kublik. Miss Dreyfus refers to him as a regular King Farouk. King Farouk, living from
Yep.
1920 to 1965, was one of the last kings of Egypt. He was renowned for his extravagant lifestyle and an international playboy with many marriages and mistresses.
I like that. See, that's a historical morsel. I like those ones, Murphy.
You like those ones? I'll try and find more of
Yeah.
those ones for you.
Is that it? Is that the morsels?
We got the final 3 morsels here, and then I've decided
right.
to add a few more things to the morsels, just things that
Oh my God, we're already in an hour on this goddamn horrible movie.
I know it. Trust me, the stuff like I tried finding and it it's ridiculous. Billy Wilder and Aya Diamond based the film partially on a Hollywood scandal in which high-powered agent Jennings Lang was shot by producer Walter Wagner for having an affair with Wagner's wife, actress Joan Bennett. During the affair, Lang used a low-level employee's apartment. Another element of the plot was based on the experience of one of Diamond's friends who returned home after breaking up with his girlfriend to find that she had committed suicide in his bed. Just like, wow, okay, wow, they're really writing what they know in this film, which just makes it even worse.
Yeah, they know misogyny.
The
shitty doctors.
And from the cover of our episode, the inebriated Santa from the bar scene is the same actor Hal Smith who played the inebriated Otis Campbell on the Andy Griffith Show in the 1960s.
It's a deep cut that no one will understand who's listening to this podcast. Thanks for that.
I talked about the doctors on set earlier, so we can skip that one. So this leads us to the final one. Although the film continues to find new generations of viewers who love it, many of the objects seen are nearly obsolete in 2022. These include adding machines, typewriters and their dust covers, special paper, carbons, and erasers, LP records and players, though vinyl is making a comeback, rotary dial telephones, desk pen
What's wrong with
sets,
vinyl?
small screen analog televisions, fur stoles, Hamburg hats for men as everyday wear, switchboard and elevator operators, typing pools, milk delivery, mercury thermometers, and a multitude of others. On the other hand, club sandwiches, cocktails, dive bars, frozen microwavable meals, insurance, infidelity, cheese crackers, TV remotes, and the love of classic movies continue to be staples of everyday life. And New York City will always be New York City.
And people would still like that Tiffany lamp and possibly that year of champagne. But other than that, there's nothing here. All right, Murphy. Rewatchability. Would you ever watch this movie again?
I would never watch this movie that at the time
Me neither.
Was a budget of $3 million, which today is worth $30 million.
It's like 100 and like
$3 million to make this movie, and they grossed $24,600,000 worldwide in 1959.
Shirley MacLaine probably got paid $50 for this.
Probably.
Yeah.
The film was cinematographer was Joseph Lashiel and edited by Daniel Mandel. Those are my movie more.
Murphy, does this movie hold up?
Good God, no! It does not.
Good God, no!
Good God, no! It is. If you want a lesson on
least
misogyny,
holding up in the history of this show. And you know what? I freaking hated Southland Tales and I Heart Huckabees, but this movie. You know what? This movie might be better than those two movies, but it holds up because it's so. No, it's honestly there's like at least a good direction and a good performance from Jack Lemmon, and those two movies didn't have either of those things. They were both badly directed and had no redeemable performances. But this holds up worse because it's just so misogynistic. And
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. It's like there's no way you could show this to like a group of like 18-year-olds and have it not blow their minds on how the world used to be. like wow. Yeah, let's move on from this movie.
Some may even pine for it. Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, so two no's from us. All right, fire us up a trailer for an actual good movie. Theater 2. One of look, I'll spoil my thing. One of the great movies of all time. Get that friggin' image of yeah, there we go. Theater 2, Gremlins, 1984, the year I was born. Man, there was a lot of good movies in 1984. I'll tell you right. I was born on a good year. Starring Zach Galligan, a young Corey Feldman, and Phoebe Cates, who I gotta say I had a mad crush on when I was a kid. If you're somewhere around my age and you didn't have a crush on Phoebe Cates, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean,
and directed by everybody did. I swear, everybody did. And directed by Joe Dante, who is like nothing but hits, man. Joe Dante, we had him earlier on this podcast because he directed Matinee, which we loved.
We did love Matinee.
We sure did.
I gotta say,